What's going on, everybody? And I hope you're having a great Monday afternoon / Monday morning. This is NYG Jeffy T 85, and I'm just going to talk about my Giant Blue recap for the New York Giants as they suffered their second loss of the season last night against the Seattle Seahawks down there in Seattle by the final score of 27-13. And I'm just going to be really honest on this one. And a lot of other Giants fans, some Giants fans that I work with, including the Big Blue crew, they said it too. The Giants just got clearly outplayed. The Giants just got outplayed. Giants got outcoached. Giants got beaten on every single facet of the game. And one thing as well, Seattle beat the Giants at the Giants' own game. What did Seattle do yesterday against the Giants that beat us? Timely running at the end of the game. Although the Giants did a good job stopping the run and putting Kenneth Walker in check, at the end of the game, Walker started to break some runs. They had some of those bootleg runs with Geno Smith that he picked up some yardage on. They played solid defense on the outside, especially their cornerbacks against our wide receivers, and I'll get to that later. They did a good job play calling on offense and defense and special teams. And Geno Smith did just enough, did as much as he should as the quarterback of the Seahawks to help that team win. Now I'm going to start with everybody's favorite punching bag for some reason whenever the Giants lose, and that of course is Daniel Jones. And I'll just be honest, Daniel Jones did not have a great game yesterday. He didn't. Daniel Jones was not great. There were some decisions out there that he made that could have resulted in turnovers. There were some plays that Daniel Jones didn't see on the field. There's some questionable decisions Daniel Jones did, but let's just be real. It's not all Daniel Jones' fault. Daniel Jones is doing the most he can with the playmakers and the lack of playmakers he has on the team. So while Daniel Jones did not play well, he had 176 yards passing and 17 of 31 overall. He had a QBR of 71.4. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Though he did get lucky because one of those plays could have been a pick. But at the same time, Daniel Jones got no help from his playmakers. Saquon Barkley had arguably his worst game of the season. He had 53 yards rushing. Even Daniel Jones was bottled up on the rushes. He only had 20. Seattle's game plan, specifically, and they orchestrated it beautifully, was to stack the box against Saquon Barkley, not allowing him to break off some big runs, and Saquon's got to stop dancing. That's another thing. Barkley's got to stop dancing again. He's starting to dance again by the line. Just run up the middle. But Seattle's game plan was to stop Daniel Jones, stop Saquon Barkley with 8 in the box, have a spy out there in the middle of the field in case Daniel Jones decided to run for it, either on a bootleg run or try to sprint and scramble out of the middle of the field. You have a spy right there to stop Daniel Jones if he can make the tackle. And he was pretty much telling Daniel Jones, Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, and this team, you have to beat us by passing the football. We played right into Seattle's hands. And another thing too, the play calling was not that great. Sorry. The play calling was not great. Mike Kafka at the beginning of the game decided to pass the ball more. And I know I'm going to hear, well, you know what? It worked last week against Jacksonville. It worked last week against Jacksonville. You opened things up. It helped out the run. No. No. Stick with the run. That's what your bread and butter of this football team is. Especially with the fact you have 2 backup offensive linemen that played in this game. 2. You had Ben Bredesen, who's out. You had Evan Neal, who's out. You're playing with a rookie in Joshua Azudu and a backup that has not gotten any starts yet in Tyree Phillips. And the Giants started out passing the football. They did not give the ball to Saquon Barkley until the second quarter. The Giants diverted away from their game plan. They did. They diverted away from their game plan in the first half. They just seemed out of rhythm, out of sync. I apologize, I got a little bit of a cold. They just seemed out of rhythm, out of sync. They were trying to do something exotic and different out there on the football field, and it bit them in the ass. Just being real about it, they bit them in the ass. Giants tried to get cute out there on the football field, and it didn't work. Giants should have just continued to run the football at the beginning of the game. Establish the run. That's what your offensive line does best, is running the football. But getting back to Daniel Jones. What is this guy supposed to do everything? I know he was not good yesterday. Yesterday was a perfect check mark for the people that are against Daniel Jones. But at the same time, he can't do everything. He was part of the problem yesterday, but you know what? So was everything else around him, including the coaching. The offensive line was not great. I'm going to get to the offensive line now. And first off, I want to say my one big positive. Shout out to Nick Gates. 5 snaps in that game. Nick Gates, who came off a serious fractured leg. If anybody saw the x-rays that they showed in that game, the dude broke his fibula and his tibia in his leg. Both of them. Both his bones in his leg were shattered. And that dude had multiple surgeries and went back on that football field. And you know what? He looked pretty good. In a couple of plays he played, he looked pretty good, including that Saquon Barkley touchdown. And shout out to Coach Ed Gladney. He showed it to me, the play. Nick Gates looked pretty good. But getting back to this offensive line, I'm sick and tired of John Feliciano. I'm done with him. That's one of the things this team should evaluate going into this bye week. Get John Feliciano the hell out of that center position. He can't hack it. He's getting pushed back too much. He has no good lateral movement. The guy just seems to be a turnstile now at the center position. It's like we have not quite our Nate Solder of the center position, but John Feliciano is clearly not it. And if you can get Nick Gates a little bit ramped up, if he's going to be anywhere ready, you could get ramped up in the next couple of weeks, especially during the bye week, get Nick Gates ready and get him in there at center. Because it's clear as day, John Feliciano is not it, and he's hurting this offensive line. I don't know if Feliciano still is banged up. He's had multiple injuries this season. But it's clear as day right now, Feliciano is not helping this team. He's not helping this team. He's hurting this offensive line and the continuity they have. So I would look to get Nick Gates in there and try to ramp up his activity. I'll give Azudu a break. It's his first start in the NFL. He was okay. He had some decent run blocks, but he also missed some plays. His pass blocking is so-so. But he's also a rookie getting his first opportunity. So I'll give Azudu the benefit of the doubt. Even Tyree Phillips, who I thought was not good yesterday. He had a couple of false start penalties. He got a couple of plays where he got blown by that kid Nwosu on Seattle, and that kid had a hell of a game. But Phillips was not great. But at the same time, this is the first time this kid has gotten a start in his career. So I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Especially in a place like Seattle, where you have the crowd as loud as can be. It's going to make somebody who's just getting the first start in their career a little bit jittery. So I'll give Tyree Phillips his deal. I'll give Tyree Phillips a little bit of a break. Same thing with Joshua Azudu. Glowinski was so-so. The only guy, once again, that was an anchor was Andrew frickin' Thomas. And my God, this dude just continues to go out there and play like the best left tackle in football. I mean, this guy's blocking is incredible. Well, there was one play in that game where it looked like Daniel Jones was going to get crushed, and Andrew Thomas took the defender, shoved him to the ground, and pancaked him to the ground to give Daniel Jones an opportunity to find the wide open guy. So Andrew Thomas continues to play great football. So kudos to him. I just want to get to the special teams real quick because this was an adventure out there. Gary Brightwell has got to start making better decisions when he starts to take the football out from the end zone. This guy just makes you worried at times that he's always going to want to try to break out of the end zone, even though when he should down it sometimes, he's always going to want to try to go out there and break one. Gary, sometimes it's okay to let the ball bounce into the end zone, take the touchback, and go to the 25. Or you just take a knee. But the real biggest problem is Richie James. Richie James arguably was the biggest reason why we lost this game. One of them at least. He didn't fumble it not once but twice. And he ended up getting hurt. So I hope he's going to be okay. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. He had a concussion in the game. But Richie James should not be playing in terms of... He should not be the punt returner anymore. After you muffed 2 kicks. And he also, I believe, muffed another one about a week or 2 ago. Get Richie James out of being the punt returner. He can't handle it. He's turning the football over. And even his role on offense is starting to get reduced. He only had about 4 or 5 snaps on offense. Get somebody else back there. Try Darnay Holmes. They tried Darnay Holmes a couple of times there. Maybe you try Holmes as a guy that could be a punt returner. Maybe you even try out the rookie Wan'Dale Robinson. Try to take advantage of his explosiveness on the in the punt return, a kick return. But that part of the unit, one of the keys again for the Giants, that unit killed them. Even they had a bad penalty, which I still question that penalty, was an illegal block in the back. I don't think it was illegal, a block in the back. But the Giants still getting killed with penalties, too, on special teams. Besides Graham Gano and, to a degree, Jamie Gillen, the punt return, punt and kick return, and the punt coverage and kick coverage was not good. They really need to shore that up. The defense, I thought for the most part did the best they could with what they had. I thought the cornerbacks were up and down in the game. Fabian Morneau got a little bit exposed on the outside. But at the same time, what do you expect when this team has absolutely 0 pass rush in the second half especially? Adoree Jackson got beat on a couple of double moves against Tyler Lockett. But Tyler Lockett is one of the most underrated receivers in the NFL. I thought the safety position was solid overall. They were a little bit late on some of those plays, but it's more on the cornerbacks to be able to handle their positioning. Darnay Holmes I thought was solid, but at the same time they did not target him a lot. That might be an indictment. There might be a kudos to Darnay Holmes. At the same time, Tay Crowder is becoming an issue at the middle linebacker position. This dude just cannot cover. And he's missing tackles. He's missing assignments in the inside. Teams are running at him, and he's not being able to recover enough, where he's overrunning plays. Tay Crowder is becoming a problem on the outside and in the linebacker position. And at the same time, even Jalen Smith is starting to look a little bit slowing. He's slowing down now. Micah McFadden had a sack on this game. Maybe you try to play Micah McFadden a little bit. Give him a shot. And it's clear as day, I never thought, and a lot of Giants fans have never thought we'd say, we missed O'Shane Ximines. O'Shane Ximines has been doing a really good job even getting pass rush, but especially being able to contain the outside on the run. O'Shane Ximines has been one of the biggest surprises on this football team this year. And Ximines, his presence was missed. His presence was missed. Jahide Ward had a so-so game overall. Thibodeau, he's getting held a lot, so I'm not going to blame Thibodeau. Dexter Lawrence probably had his quietest game of the season. Leonard Williams had some pressure in the first half. I thought he played one of his better games overall. Dexter was not that good. But I'm going to get to the biggest lying issue with this football team. And Brian Daboll, Mike Kafka, and Wink Martindale did not do a good job coaching. Say this about Wink, stop playing so much zone. Mix up your coverages. Stop exclusively going to zone defenses. Teams are reading that and they're beating you at it. Mix up your defenses like you did and come up with some specific blitz packages. Shout out to Big Pat and Okocha Gladney and G Nation. They talked about that one blitz package that they had when it came to Xavier McKinney blitzing right up the middle. And it worked to perfection. Come up with some decent blitz packages for McKinney or some of your safeties. Maybe even Landon Collins use them for that. But I'm going to get to the biggest issue, and every single Giants fan knows this is the biggest issue, and that's that wide receiver position. And it's going back to correlating with Daniel Jones. What the hell is Daniel Jones supposed to do when he has, at times, a clean pocket, but nobody at that wide receiver position could separate? Nobody. Darius Slayton had some plays here and there. He was solid. But let's just be real. Darius Slayton's not a number 1 receiver. He's probably a good number 2 or a very good number 3 on a good team. Wan'Dale Robinson is playing his 3rd game back from injury. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Wan'Dale still is learning in his rookie year. But I do not want to see David Sills, Marcus Johnson, Richie James, and these guys having significant roles in this wide receiver core. They can't hack it. It's over for them. It's over. And at the same time, Kenny Golladay is not the answer. I know he's supposed to be coming back. I know he's talking all the good talk right now, saying that he's motivated, he wants to help the team, etc. Right now, Kenny Galladay's done jack with this team. Nothing. He's been part of the wide receiver problem too. So right now, to be honest, this team badly needs an upgraded wide receiver. And with the NFL trade deadline coming tomorrow at 4 p.m., and you're hearing the rumors of wide receivers they might be interested in. Chase Claypool, Elijah Moore, Denzel Mims, T. Higgins at one point. You had Jerry Jeudy, Brandon Cooks. These are some of the wide receivers that are available. Are the Giants going to be willing to mortgaging some of their future to acquire a wide receiver to win this year? Or is Joe Schoen going to say, you know what? We're going to take a chance with what we got in this team. See how far we go, because of the fact we have to remember it's the first year of a rebuild. Not a lot of people expected us to be 6-2 this good at the beginning of the season. Is Joe Schoen just going to go into the rest of the season, taking a chance with the guys we have, and then pretty much just evaluating as he goes? And go into the offseason, and that's when you make your upgrades. But this wide receiver core is a problem. Nobody on this team can separate. And Seattle had the perfect blueprint on how to beat the Giants' offense. You stack the box against Saquon Barkley. You have a spy in the middle of the field for Daniel Jones when he starts to run it. And you tell this offense, beat us passing the football. Make your wide receivers and tight ends get open to make plays. And besides Darius Slayton, nobody on this offense could consistently do it. That's the game plan. Giants are going into the bye week 6-2. Nobody expected that to happen. Nobody. Not myself, not Giants fans that are being realistic. Nobody expected us to be 6-2. So I am not going to dwell on this loss. It was a tough loss yesterday, but you know what? We weren't going 16-1. We were going to lose some games here and there. But we're 6-2 going into the bye week. We have chances to get healthy. We're getting some players back that are injured or banged up. This is a perfect chance to heal some of these guys up. And you come back after the bye week, you have 2 winnable games coming out of the bye. Against Houston and against Detroit before we start getting into the meat and potatoes of our schedule. And that's 6 of the last 10 games against divisional opponents. Or 5 of the last 9, my apologies. 5 of the last 9 games are going to be divisional opponents. This is where the season's going to be won. Because you look at our division right now. Philadelphia, they're undefeated. They won yesterday. They're 7-0. The Giants now are 6-2 going into their bye. Dallas won yesterday. They're 7-2. Even Washington is righted this season. They've won 3 in a row. They're 4-4. This NFC East is not going to be easy. And I'm not taking any one of these teams lightly. None of them. Not even Washington. Because it's clear as day, Taylor Heineke has just rejuvenated this franchise. And what's the one biggest difference between the Giants and the rest of these teams in the NFC East? The NFC East, the rest of these teams in the NFC East, they have elite talent on the outside. Look at Washington. Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, Curtis Samuel, Logan Thomas. Look at Dallas. CeeDee Lamb, Michael Gallup, Dalton Schultz, Noah Brown. Look at Philadelphia. Dallas Goedert, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, Zach Pascal. And then you look at the Giants, guys. Every one of these teams have solid quarterback play, and they have good running backs. the biggest difference, and especially on the offense, is those three teams have elite playmakers on the outside, and the Giants don't. That's the biggest difference. So I'm really curious to see at this trade deadline if Joe Schoen is going to be willing to mortgage a little bit of the future to go out there and try to win this year, or if he's just going to continue to say, you know what, this is a rebuilding year still. We're going to take a chance of the players we have right now. We're going to get Kenny Golladay back. Maybe he can give us a little bit of an infusion at the wide receiver position and see what we can do the rest of the season. And then whatever happens, we'll evaluate after the season and we'll go seek some upgrades, either in free agency, through trades, or the draft. So I'm not unhappy with this team. I'm not angry. I was frustrated yesterday because it's just the fan in me. But I understand we're not going to win every game, and this team is 6-2 after the bye. Going into the bye. Nobody expected that. Time to heal up, regather, get things together, and see what happens. So that's just my little my Giant Blue recap for the New York Giants, as the Giants fall this game by the final score of 27-13. My apologies, 27-13. Giants are 6-2 in the bye. They're tied for second right now in the division. Technically third place because we lost to Dallas. But we're going to have to see what's going to happen in the bye week. See how this Giants team is going to be able to regroup. See if we're going to make any moves at the trade deadline. I'm leaning towards no, because I just don't think, just knowing who Joe Schoen is as a general manager, I know what this guy is. He loves building through the draft. He loves accounting these draft picks. Last year we had 11 picks. This year, right now, we have 11 picks. I just know our general manager, and what Joe Schoen likes to do is he loves recouping and having a lot of draft capital to make as much moves to not only strengthen the depth on this roster, but get players on this team to help fix some of the holes going forward. So that's why I'm leaning more towards this team is not going to make a trade at the trade deadline. And I think they're going to roll with what they have, and then after the season, we'll go into the offseason, whether it's free agency, because we'll have a lot more cap space now with a lot of these contracts coming off the books. We're going to have a good amount of free agents. That's when I think we're going to start seeing our upgrades, especially at wide receiver. I think they're going to go into the draft next year and look for a number 1 and possibly a number 2. I could see the Giants going for 2 primetime wide receivers in the draft next year. Or maybe they go for a solid wide receiver in free agency or a trade route, and then they go draft their number 1 in the first round. But that's just my Giant Blue recap for everybody. So if you guys like this video, please hit the like button below. Sub up if you haven't already to NYGJeffET85 for more breaking news, updates, chatter, and Giant Blue recaps surrounding the football Giants. Turn on the bell for notifications on the next video or short that's going to be dropping on the channel. And let me know in the comments section what is your overall thoughts, not only about the Giants game yesterday with the Giants' loss against Seattle, but your overall feelings around the New York Giants as we head into our bye week this week. So I thank you very much, everybody. Have a great rest of your Monday afternoon. Take it easy, and as always, let's go New York Football Giants. Together Blue, everyone.